Well, hey, friends, welcome to Q on Q. We are glad you are with us this week. Well, if you are listening when this episode first airs, it's 3 weeks into the new year. And where we live, at least, we are in sub zero temperatures here in the Northeast United States. Lots of cold temperature warnings and snow everywhere. And it's nice to be inside recording this with the heat blasting on me as I speak. So we're a couple weeks into the new year. How is everything going for you? If you made resolutions or one word, how is your focus going? As always, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to celebrate with you. We'd love to pray with you and your goals. Feel free to drop us a note on social media at Q on Q, and we'd love to connect with you. So, if you are listening to us for the first time with this episode or just getting into this series, let me catch you up to speed to where we are. This is part of a multi part series on focus in the new year. It came about because my word for 2025 is focus. I came to that word after lots of thought and prayer and reflecting about all the things that seem to pull us off track. The things and experiences and people and situations that take us off course and stop us from achieving our objectives and goals. So, my plan for 2025 is to focus on key areas that can help me live out my faith in practical and meaningful ways. This week, I want to talk about focusing on our relationships. Focusing on our relationships is one of the most fulfilling ways to align our life with purpose and intention. Whether you're strengthening existing bonds or cultivating new ones, intentionality in your relationships is key. Relationships thrive when nurtured with time, effort, and a genuine commitment to mutual growth and understanding. We all have a ton of connections with other people, whether it's a colleague, people in our neighborhood, family members, friends, because of family members, or something else. We all have interactions with people literally every single day. If you don't, hopefully it's not because you've chosen to exclude yourself from those interactions. In a world that focuses so much on likes, shares, and followers, it's easy to feel we have to be best friends with so many people or impress so many people for the trap of focusing on quantity. Look at any social media platform and you see so called influencers chasing numbers and seeking validation from as many people as possible in so many aspects of life. That being said, both the quantity and quality of your relationships have a huge impact on your life. Just because you have a lot of friends doesn't mean your relationships are healthy. Just because you host big parties and everyone wants to come doesn't mean your connections with others are strong. You can have it all, but if you don't have supportive and meaningful relationships, your life will be missing something. I've mentioned this phrase before, but I think it's worth stating again. A wise man once said to me, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future." Let me say that again. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. In fact, it could be said, show me your 5 best friends, and I'll show you your next 5 years. I'm fully convinced God puts people in our lives for a reason and puts people in our lives for a season. So, how can you focus more on your relationships in 2025? Well, let's start here. I think it's important to start by identifying the relationships that matter most in your life. Determine which ones deserve the most attention and the most care. Not all relationships hold the same weight in your life, and that's okay. Some connections are foundational, like family or a spouse, while others may serve a specific season or purpose. Identifying the relationships that matter most helps you direct your time and energy where they can have the greatest impact. This can include all the groups I mentioned earlier: family, friends, colleagues, mentors, and your faith community. But ask yourself these questions: which relationships bring me joy? Who encourages my growth? Who supports you during difficult times? Who celebrates your successes? Who might need your support right now? Identifying these people helps you prioritize your time and your energy, and it ensures you invest in the connections that align with your values and goals. These are the people whose presence enriches your life. For example, a mentor who offers wisdom, A friend who encourages your faith journey, or a colleague who collaborates with you towards shared goals might stand out as a relationship to prioritize. You can also identify key relationships by considering your own roles and responsibilities. As a spouse, a parent, sibling, friend, or coworker, you have commitments to others that reflect your values and life priorities. Think about the relationships tied to those roles. Ask yourself whether you're devoting enough time and attention to them. Sometimes, simply recognizing an overlooked relationship can spark a renewed commitment to invest in it. Another thing that's important to focus on in relationships is boundaries. And I've spoken a lot about this in the past. Not every relationship needs equal time and energy, and that's okay. Healthy boundaries allow you to focus on relationships that bring positivity and growth while maintaining your peace. It's also essential to evaluate whether some relationships might be draining or misaligned with your values. Love and kindness remain central, but stewardship of your emotional energy is vital for focusing on the right connections. And if I can be completely transparent with you, while we'd love to say that we can be completely open and share everything with all of our friends and that everyone can and should be involved with us in all facets, it's just simply not the truth. Personal, intimate details of your life are reserved for those closest to you. And this is where boundaries can be so important. Having that boundary allows you to have the choice of what, when, and how you choose to have aspects of your life shared. If you don't know how to set those boundaries, know that it doesn't always have to be directly discussed. But even when it does, it's letting the other party know how much you value your connection with them. Never be afraid to communicate. Okay, so what else can we focus on with our relationships? Well, we need to consider the balance of give and take. Now, relationships should be mutually life giving, though not necessarily in identical ways. For example, you may pour extra energy into mentoring a younger person or supporting a friend in crisis, but these relationships should still provide emotional connection, joy, or some growth in return. Recognizing these dynamics can help you identify relationships that are worth investing in and those that might require reassessment or healthier boundaries. A healthy relationship thrives on balance, where both parties feel valued, supported, and heard. This doesn't mean every interaction has to be perfectly equal, but over time, the give and take should reflect mutual respect and care. Recognizing and maintaining this balance is key to building relationships that are sustainable and fulfilling. Start by reflecting on the dynamics of your relationships. Are you consistently the one giving, whether it's time, emotional support, or effort, while the other person seldom reciprocates? Or do you find yourself on the receiving end without contributing equally? Both extremes can lead to tension, frustration, or feelings of neglect. The goal is not transactional fairness, but a sense of mutual investment that strengthens the bond between two people. Some relationships naturally have different rhythms of giving and taking. Look at the relationship between a mentor and their mentee. The mentor might give more wisdom and guidance, while the mentee offers gratitude and a willingness to learn. We may not see those as equal. Supporting a friend during a crisis might require you to give more for a season, knowing the dynamic will shift as circumstances change. Recognizing these patterns helps you understand when imbalances are temporary versus when they indicate a deeper issue. Also, don't forget that communication plays a vital role in maintaining balance. Talk openly about needs, expectations, and boundaries. If you feel overwhelmed in a one sided friendship, expressing your feelings with kindness can encourage the other person to be more mindful. Likewise, if somebody feels you're not contributing enough to a relationship, being open to their perspective can help you grow and strengthen the connection. It's also important to assess how you show up in relationships. Are you offering your time, attention, and love in ways that align with the other person's needs? Some people may value words of affirmation, while others might feel cared for through acts of service. Understanding these nuances ensures your contributions resonate and create meaningful connections. It's important to evaluate and understand your capacity. Life's demands change with the wind, and there are seasons where you may have more or less to give. And it's okay to ask for grace during busy or challenging times, just as you extend it to others. The key is to maintain an underlying commitment to mutual growth and support. When you balance that give and take, relationships become sources of joy, encouragement, and strength. By nurturing this balance, you create connections that not only enrich your life, but also reflect love, generosity, and really being intentional. A faith based perspective adds another layer to focus on in relationships. Scriptures often emphasize love, forgiveness, and serving others, and faith helps us anchor our relationships in those principles. I want you to consider for a moment how your faith calls you to invest in the people around you. Praying for your loved ones or practicing grace in challenging relationships can strengthen your spiritual connection with them. By reflecting God's love through your actions, you become a source of encouragement and peace. When faith guides our relationships, they become more than just connections. They become a form of ministry and a way to live out our values. One of the most foundational teachings about relationships comes from Jesus' command to love your neighbor as yourself. This love is not conditional and is certainly not transactional, but it is characterized by compassion, humility, and selflessness. Whether it's a close family member or a stranger in need, this principle reminds us every interaction is an opportunity to demonstrate God's love. Let me say that again. Every interaction is an opportunity to demonstrate God's love. Holding on to resentment or bitterness can damage relationships and hinder spiritual growth. By choosing forgiveness when it's necessary, we release the burden of anger and create a space for healing. Now, this doesn't mean ignoring the boundaries I mentioned earlier or enabling harmful behavior, but rather entrusting the situation to God and extending grace as He has extended it to us. Faith reminds us that relationships are a reflection of our relationship with God. The way we treat others with kindness, peace, patience, and respect can be a testimony to His work in our lives. There are a ton of things I could share on this topic, but the last one that I want to go into detail on today is regarding acknowledging when our relationships may need healing or strengthening, or if we need to allow for separation. And this is really a difficult topic. It's one of the hardest things to consider in a relationship. Obviously, ending a connection with someone is never the ideal resolution. We want to work with all our might to make sure those close to us remain close to us. Is there somebody in your life with whom you've drifted apart? Perhaps an unresolved conflict has created distance. Identifying these relationships gives you the opportunity to approach them with humility and intentionality, seeking reconciliation or growth where possible. Healing these bonds can bring new depth and richness to your relationships. The process really does require thought and discernment and honesty and really sometimes difficult decisions, but it's necessary for maintaining emotional and spiritual health. Healing is often needed when trust has been broken, or if conflict has occurred, or emotional distance has grown between two people. There might be lingering resentment, or avoidance, or communication that feels strained or surface level. Healing starts with honest self reflection and asking, what went wrong? Am I willing to seek forgiveness? Am I willing to extend grace? Am I at fault for this hurt? Approaching the other person with humility and a willingness to listen is essential. Expressing your desire to mend the relationship can open the door to wonderful things. Healing might involve apologies, it might involve forgiveness, and it might involve setting new boundaries to prevent future hurt. Prayer can be powerful in this situation by inviting God's guidance and grace into the process. Remember, healing takes time and it might require ongoing effort from both parties. Well, you might be sitting there saying, well, what if I have that relationship that I just can't mend? What if fixing things with the other person just isn't possible? Well, sometimes relationships become unhealthy, toxic, or one sided. In some cases, separation might be necessary, not out of anger or retaliation, but as an act of self preservation and wisdom. It might mean reducing the interactions with somebody, stepping back temporarily to reassess, or in extreme cases, cutting ties altogether. Whatever you do, don't quit on a relationship as a knee jerk reaction. Too many times we do that, and we don't take time to seek God's wisdom to ensure the decision aligns with His will and isn't driven solely by emotion. Even when separation is necessary, it's important to maintain a posture of love and grace. This doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior, but rather choosing to let go of bitterness and entrusting the relationship to God. By taking time to identify the relationships that truly matter, you create a clear picture of where to focus your energy. This really intentional approach allows you to nurture meaningful connections, repair strained ones, and create a life centered on love, purpose, and mutual support. To keep your relationships healthy, make regular efforts to check in, share meaningful moments, and offer support. This could mean scheduling a weekly phone call with a loved one, meeting a friend for coffee, or volunteering with someone in your community. Consistency builds trust and deepens bonds, demonstrating your commitment to the relationship. And finally, don't forget to focus on your relationship with yourself. Self awareness, self compassion, and time spent in reflection or prayer can better equip you to pour into others. As the old saying says, you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of other people. As you grow in understanding and love for yourself, your ability to build meaningful relationships with others will flourish. By intentionally identifying, prioritizing, and investing in those relationships while drawing on your faith for guidance, you can create a life rich in connection and purpose. Strong relationships not only enrich your life, but also empower you to be a light in the lives of others. As I said last time, let's make this year a year where we focus every decision and action we take. Continue where you started with your priorities last time by focusing on your relationships this week. Whether it's a heartfelt conversation, an act of kindness, or a commitment to fixing broken relationships, small steps can lead to big transformations. Let's make 2025 the year we focus on the relationships that fill our lives with love and purpose, becoming not just better friends, family members, or coworkers, but better reflections of the grace and goodness we are called to share. Well, as always, friends, thank you for joining me on this journey. Next time, we will be talking about the past, the present, and the future. What can the past teach us? What should we look forward to in the future? And why should we focus on the present while keeping an eye on both the past and the future? Till then, stay focused and stay true to what matters most. And if you're in the eastern United States, stay warm. As always, I really do appreciate you tuning in this week. We'll see you back here next time. We'll have more for you on Q.